back mechanics for players who are behind already is that even though they're down a game, it's not a huge disadvantage being down a game. Instead of like having only 2 decks left to deal with, like say that your ace in the hole lost to their best deck, like you don't, it's not just gone anymore, and you're like, oh well, I needed this to be able to win.
It's actually MasSan's actually going to choose a different deck. I guess he doesn't believe his rogue is as well equipped to deal with Amaz's remaining decks, which are Druid and Hunter, as the Paladin. And I think this is a good choice. Paladin, it can deal pretty well with Druid, and it can deal pretty well with Hunter. It's just a very controlling class, whereas the Druid and Hunter will try to be more aggressive and kind of burst or just take the Paladin down.
I'm curious what kind of Paladin build this is exactly. If he's going to be having stuff like Knife Juggler and wow, he actually throws away a muster for battle.
I think that's fine because you can kind of be you kind of want more tools in your deck or in your hand actually, and maybe his deck is more lowering curve. It leans towards a more lower curve, so it has Zombie Chows, it has Knife Jugglers. He might just be hoping to draw those lower curve cards instead.
I don't think so. There's Knife Juggler. I gotta believe that's coming down this turn.
It looks so good against this 4-3, but as we can see from Amaz's hand, a Wrath is going to come down.
Amaz's hand, it's been such a strong start with the turn 1 Pilot Shredder, but this hand has got no action in it, and he's going to need to draw something super important to be able to pull through this. And Amaz has got to feel ugly. I'm sorry, MasSan's got to feel ugly about the attack here. It just has no real answer to this Piloted Shredder right now. And Amaz picks up an Azure Drake, but still no turn 3 or turn 4 play yet.
Yeah, Savage Roar doesn't really accomplish anything that the hero power wouldn't. I guess it gets a bit more damage in, but you already had the Force of Nature in hand, so
yep.
I guess you might as well save it. Not only does Amaz not draw a turn 3 play, but he also doesn't have a turn 4 play right now.
Yeah. You know, MasSan's play isn't that much better, though. He's just having to consecrate.
Oh.
And Amaz gets Millhouse Mana Storm off the Pilot Shredder. His minion just upgraded after taking 3 damage. And MasSan took 4 damage from that attack, too.
Yeah, and he had to blow a Consecrate, which is definitely... Consecrate on 1 minion, definitely not the most efficient use. Not only did he blow a Consecrate, but Shade of Naxxramas is immediately drawn. And Amaz can safely play it knowing that 1 Consecrate at least has been drawn.
We have a Quartermaster here. Gosh, this board is rough. He's down to 10 from just a turn 1 Piloted Shredder. 20 points of damage have been dealt by that minion. That is insane. Yeah, and Amaz just has no reason to unveil this Shade right now. He's content with just sitting still and letting nature run its course.
Reporting for duty.
If MasSan needs that Lucky Juggle. He doesn't get any Lucky Juggles, and he has to trade both his minions into the Azure Drake. He can't take any more face damage.
Yep.
And I believe that's game.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I count 9 damage. Oh no, he's got the Force Nature. I wasn't even considering Force Nature as just 6 damage. I was like, no, this has to be held in your hand until you combo. Wow, Amaz quickly takes game 2 off of that Pilot Shredder, and MasSan, he's not looking too happy about that one. Wow, what on earth? Okay, what could have gone differently from MasSan that game, man? That was just a blowout. This is like 2 blowout hands in a row that Amaz has drawn now, and it's like MasSan's draw that game. It's like he had a muster for battle in turn 3, but he really didn't have like anything else. And the Millhouse Mana Storm popped out of this Pilot Shredder. Was the Millhouse Mana Storm really the nail in the coffin?
Yeah, Millhouse, it has 4 attacks, so it's going to be repeating what the Piloted Shredder was doing, which is just dealing 4 damage to the face every turn. I think what MasSan really needed was a turn 3 play other than Muster, and the other turn 3 play that Paladin has is, of course, the Aldor Peacekeeper. And it would have allowed MasSan to kind of neuter the Piloted Shredder a bit and probably stabilize. You know, a True Silver Champion would have been pretty great, but unfortunately, none of those 2 key Paladin cards were drawn from MasSan.
Yeah, so he's going to be going with Hunter now, is Amaz. This is his last deck, and he's got 3 games to try to win 1 time with Hunter, and we kind of saw this in the ESL where Chalky had Hunter as his last deck, and he had to win 1 or 2 games with it. And he was playing against a warrior too. So he's playing Face Hunter versus a warrior, which is traditionally thought to be like one of the worst matchups that Face Hunter could have. And he had to win 1 or 2 games. First game, you know, he had a chance to win, didn't work out for him. Second game, he had a chance to win, and it did work out for him. What kind of mindset is MasSan gonna have to approach for this to make sure he doesn't lose his cool, that he's making the right decisions, and that he's not just like, oh, well, that's Hunter, and Hunter beats you sometimes.
Yeah, I think MasSan just has to hope he gets a little lucky in every single game from now on. And as you can see from the opening hand from MasSan, he is a pretty lucky right now with 2 innervates in his hand. Exactly what you want as the tempo card you need to take control from the Hunter player.
I actually like going Shady next Ramos here over the Pilot Shredder. And for 2 major reasons. Number one is this is much less soft to something like Iron Begal. And the second one is it allows him to keep his coin and effectively develop the same kind of board presence. He would have gotten an attack with Pilot Shredder this turn. Wow, he draws Keeper of the Grove though.
Yeah, not only is it more soft to something like Iron Begal, but it's way more soft to something like Glaive Zuka, right?
Yeah.
And from the opening turn, which was Clockwork Gnome, you can't be completely sure about what type of hunter this is, whether it's a face hunter or if it's like a more controlling hunter.
Right. This is this is looking pretty brutal.
Yeah, exactly. 2 innervates plus a keeper plus a shade. Like these are 2 creatures that you want to innervate out more than anything else. The keeper 2/4 body is especially relevant because usually the 2/4 isn't that great against most minions, but against all the early game hunter minions, it's just so golden. Against Knife Juggler, it trades perfectly. Against the Haunted Creeper, it can just it can take out the original body and it can take out the special spiders that come out. Just everything is going to be denied by that keeper in the first few turns.
Develops bow and just passes. And this looks like that MasSan is going to start chipping away at these tokens. Goes ahead and unveils the shade here. That's actually really interesting. Why is he choosing to pick off these tokens with a shade? Is it just because he has so much board presence, so he doesn't really care how his opponent chooses to allocate his removal?
I think that's a part of it. Maybe another part of it is that there's just so many minions on the board that bow can deal with. So he's like, okay, I don't care. You can just hit any of these creatures with my bow, with your bow, and I'll be fine with it.
So Amaz choosing to do that. 2 points of damage to face. So Amaz's hand, it's kind of showing that he's actually not Face Hunter with Lothep and Black Knight. Does MasSan still know what's going on here, or do you think he's still kind of lost on exactly what kind of hunter deck this is?
I think judging by the cards that Amaz has played, I guess he can't be completely sure. The Hunter's Mark is a card that we don't see as much from Face Hunters as we see from Control Hunters. But I think also judging from the fact that the bow has gone to minions every single turn, it could be, MasSan could suspect that. It could more suspect that it's more of a Control Hunter. Lothep comes down, and that's just a typical Control Hunter card, not a Face Hunter card, though.
Yeah. What do you think about reversing switching this Harrison here? Make sure it doesn't trade for the Lothep perfectly.
I think that's fine, but Admirable, aren't you the guy who says, like, you should probably go to face more often than not? And Amaz kind of followed your mantra of going to face that turn.
Yeah, I think I would have gone to face, but I think I would have considered using the reversing switch as well. Just so on the back trade, he either has to have something like Wrath or Savage Roar or Swipe or uses hero power to take out the Lothep. So he attacks 5 to face, but then he uses the reversing switch to make Harrison the 4/5 instead.
Yeah,
that's what I was looking at.
I think that's very fair. We've actually seen like 2 Black Knights from Amaz's decks. It's in the Warrior deck, it's in the Hunter deck, and it might even be in the Paladin deck, or rather the Druid deck that
oh my gosh,
that Amaz is running.
Oh my gosh! Oh, and he taunts it up. Oh my god, that's exactly the kind of turn that Amaz was looking for.
Yeah, MasSan is gonna be pretty sad right now. It's exactly what Amaz needed. The Black Knight comes down, trades the 4/5 minion for a 4/6 minion, and the Druid of the Claw falls immediately.
Wow, 6 points of damage out of that. Mad Scientist comes down. This is just... It felt like this game was so good for MasSan and just Black Knight turned everything around, and now he's even drawn Wild Growth on turn 8. I mean, this is basically just a dead card right now.
You know what? I think it was not only the combination of it was not only Black Knight, but it was also the Hunter's Mark that gave Amaz such a huge advantage. MasSan used a lot of 0 mana cards to get tempo in his favor with the double innervates, but Hunter's Mark was also another 0 mana spell that caused for a huge tempo swing and allowed the Spectral Spider to trade into a 3 health creature. So that was also pretty huge and a huge part of Amaz's comeback.
A lot of damage getting added to this board, and these are tough minions to kill with Pilot Shredder and the Haunted Creeper. And MasSan's going to need something like Swipe if he's going to climb back into this game. He's down to 9, and he's got combo in his hand. And it's not quite enough. It's 20 points of damage right now. And that's if the trap isn't relevant, which it is, the freezing trap. So I got to believe that's 5 extra health. 9, 10, 11. He's facing down 12 points of damage. Wow, Amaz has a few draws in his deck that are lethal. Is that one of them?
Yeah.
I think it is. Yeah, that looks like just enough to me.
Wow. Yeah, even the reversing switch.
Oh, it's 1 over because of the reversing switch. Ha! Look at that. Amaz is gonna win 3 games to 0 in Conquest with just fantastic. Even that opening though, that opening looked to me like Amaz was way behind.